Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is here for season 4. Maisel feels like it's like a not nostalgia pod staple. We've been talking about this show almost throughout the course of our podcast at this point. And season 4, man, see, I can't remember a season where I really liked it because I think I really liked season 3. And coming into season 4, I was like, how is she in this situation? And then all the stuff with Shy Baldwin kind of comes up. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, right. That was last season. Shirley K. Brown.
Yeah.
Some good stuff
December
there.
2019 was when season 3 came out. You'd be forgiven for not remembering everything.
Right.
Obviously, huge COVID delays associating
Yes.
season 4 coming to us. But I think with nice change for the first time, Amazon is releasing this show 2 episodes at a time each week as opposed to doing a full season binge. I think that kind of reprieve from the rhythms of the Sherman-Palladino dialogue is a nice decision. Uh, but we'll obviously the merit of the actual season will still dictate, how people feel about it. But I like that change for sure. Um, but yeah, coming into season 4 and watching these first 2 episodes, I was kind of like, huh. I was feeling more like down on the show than I think perhaps I ever have. And I wonder how much of that's the delay and how much of that is just where season 4 takes us in the beginning, which definitely feels like a spinning of wheels in a certain sense from a plot perspective.
Yeah. I finished the first 2 episodes and I looked over at my fiance and I was like, that was pretty good. Like, and that's just not where Maisel used to be. Like, Maisel used to be something where, you finished an episode and you kind of want to just get to the next one. There was probably like 3 or 4 moments in it that really like captured you and you're like, wow, the energy from that was great. And I actually think the way that Midge's career on the show is kind of going is kind of how the show is also going. You kind of feel like it's kind of stuck in place, kind of hitting the same beats over and over again. Oh, Midge doesn't want to do like this kind of thing, so she's going to do it her way. And I get it, and I appreciate that about the character being like a running through line of her life. But it does feel a little bit like we're getting some same storylines coming back up. Um, I do have to say, I thought they had a very classic Maisel moment that really worked for me in terms of the Ferris wheel in the first episode.
Yeah.
Just fantastic, like banter back and forth with the family, with
Right.
with Joel's family and her family together. So I really liked
Yeah.
that, but I didn't feel like there was a ton of other like really like high level moments in these first 2 episodes for me.
Yeah, I'd say for me right now, a lot of it had just on. I think just Midge is not super likable right now. Like, there's been
Mm.
a lot of like obviously quirks about the Midge Maisel character being this super privileged, wealthy elite person who has a very specific worldview, and that got challenged here and there in season 3 due to her touring with Shy. But overall, like she doesn't have any like humility or culpability about why she got fired by Shy Baldwin, outing a gay man in a certain sense during her set. It's like, no, it's just she just has a sense of infallibility about herself when we know that's not actually the truth.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of tough sometimes. I feel like to be with that. And like even some of the Susie stuff right now, it's like this whole big mess she's in is because she has a fucking gambling problem. It's another thing that
Mhm.
it's not not super sympathetic about this. Uh, so I just kind of want to see some of these conflicts get resolved so we can get back, you know, get off the hamster wheel and get back towards like Midge trying to become like the true comic, because I think a big part of season 1 and 2 was that like there was this huge push pull with Joel and is Midge just gonna go back and be a housewife and stuff. And thankfully we've abandoned that. But now it's like her career is just stuck in the mud. So they announced there's a fifth and final season coming after this season. Don't know how far we'll end up going with that kind of stuff, but I would just like some kind of change. But I mean, the show's probably just going to do what it's been doing. It's hard to ask something to completely change at this point. Um, I think that the best part about this premiere for me was, I like the Coney Island stuff that you did. I think the absolute funniest thing they did was the whole thing about the birthday. They changed the kid's birthday,
Yeah.
and the parents were totally cool with it. I thought that was actually one of the funniest things they've ever done in terms of
Yeah.
like laugh out loud humor.
I thought that was fantastic. Oh yeah, it didn't really line up with our schedules too well. And then when she was like, "You didn't change my birthday, did you?" And they're like, No. She just like was like, what? Oh man, that was really great. I think the one of the achievements of the show is taking Joel Maisel, played by Michael Zegan,
Mm,
and making him a character that I actually like enjoy seeing on screen. Because for the first
interesting.
like season or two, I did not enjoy his
Oh yeah.
presence very much, and I think he's at least like a character that I'm like. I don't dislike him on screen. I think he's like a nice presence. His relationship with Midge is always. I don't know if I want the back and forth of it, but I like that he's kind of like the supportive husband from
Mm,
afar at this point. And
right.
of course the Tony Shalhoub Rachel Brosnahan connection is just dynamite. Like the final scene of the second episode where they're sitting on the floor together and Tony Shalhoub schloss he got his first paycheck for writing that review. I thought that was just a really nice moment. I was like, oh, the show it still has that heart to it. I think it can get back to where it was before, but still,
Yeah.
like you said, have to fix some of these plot problems.
Yeah. I've really never liked Joel when, during like season two, he definitely felt like completely irrelevant. And I'm not definitely not invested in him as like a core B plot, but I do think they've at least found a way for him to settle in and be some kind of presence, at least on the mid side of things. I think when they get away from that and it's like Joel doing Joel things first, it's where I'm a little less interested, even though perhaps there's more potential with the May Chinatown stuff, TBD, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting to see, more tepid reception to Maisel return. But that can happen to a show sometimes, So it can run its course, I guess. So we'll see how season four progresses and if we have major, you know, change of thought. But I feel like it still has a pretty high floor as a series, even if maybe you're not seeing the ceiling reached anymore.
I was gonna say, I still think when you get a strong Midge performance on stage, that can fix a lot of problems for this show in an episode. So, uh, I'm still in on Maisel. You're still in on Maisel. We'll be talking about it when the season wraps up.